guys, this is Tina. Welcome back to my channel. So I'm here for another play with our Gosford green kit. So I have now managed to obviously stitch my pieces, which I hadn't managed to do last time. So I've just got a few ruffles here. Oops, that's made its way into the pile by mistake. Just got a few ruffles here and things, and I've also got obviously my stitched pocket and belly band piece that we kind of made and was waiting for stitching. Obviously we've got our journal that we have bound, so I will move that out of the way to one side, and I will move everything else out of the way also. So I'm trying to keep, she says, as I've already lost them in amongst everything, I'm trying to keep the pieces that I've made separate so that I can then gather them together, you know, when we're going to look through the journal and see what more we need to do. So let's pop this stuff down to one side so it's not so much in the way. Move my stuff. Okay, so I'm going to just pull in, sorry, I'm rustling around here to the side. Just going to pull in some book page and, oh, where are my fussy cuts? Okay, pull in my fussy cut pieces and my bling. Oops. Okay, right. Took a while to gather that stuff together. And I might just pull in some wallpaper as well, for just in case. Okie dokie. Right. Okay. So we'll just decorate up the belly band and the book page pocket. Let me sit down so that I'm not, you know, standing up crafting. Never great when you're standing up crafting. So let me just cut the threads, obviously from the sewing machine. Now, just trying to see which way around that should be. That way. Okay. So I've got here obviously all my fussy cut pieces. And they're not the fussy cuts, they're the, you know, the die cut pieces. Whoops, something else made its way into there now. Okay, let's have a look and see what we've got here. So just having a look to see whether we could put anything onto the belly band. We might be able to put this on. I mean, obviously, I don't measure, so I couldn't tell you what the measurements are of these things. And if this happens to fit on that belly band piece, it's, you know, it's just luck. But throughout the whole kit, you probably could find something that you could pop on here because, you know, you've got a lot of pieces. So it doesn't have to be this particular piece. But as it happens, my piece does fit on there. So, you know, looks really nice actually on there. So that's that piece. Now I'm wondering, obviously got the wallpaper. So I was just wondering whether we could actually tear down a strip. So if I just tear that like that. Now this is twofold, as you can see it's all inky now from the other day, but it's twofold because this vintage sheet music, I mean obviously it's vintage paper, so it's quite thin. So this just helps to strengthen it apart from anything else, you know, which is no bad thing. So just wondering whether we could have that there like that. Let me just ink this up before committing and gluing that down because, you know, I might change my mind. So let me pop this sheet of paper down to ink against. So if you're joining me for the first time, this is just a little series accompanying the Gosford green, like, physical kits that I sold. Or, well, they might not have sold, but hopefully they have. And there is also a digi version of the Gosford green kit. And this is just the series to accompany that. So I quite like that. let's go for that and glue that down. And like I say, you know, the advantage is for this, the advantage is for this when I can actually get to use my glue, isn't this annoying? Is obviously that it's going to stiffen up or strengthen, help to strengthen our sheet music. So, sorry, I'm just sat here trying to unclog my glue. It's so annoying because you come on and it's all working and you think, oh, brilliant. And then lo and behold, 2 seconds in, it decides to no longer work. So hold on a moment. Let's see if I can just scrape off the... Not that I can really see any clogging it up, but it obviously has got some clogging it up. Hold on. So if you are joining me for the first time, you are no doubt thinking, wow, I won't bother joining her again because she's now just off camera trying to unclog her glue. Hopefully this is not going to take too much longer. Oh, come on. I don't know what's going on with this glue. It does not want to let me unclog it at all. Try with my... Okay, hopefully that has done it. Okay, right, we're good to go now. Oops, it's now oozing out, so plenty of glue now. One extreme to the other, isn't it? Right, let's glue our wallpaper down. Like that. And then obviously what I'm going to do, I'm just going to turn it over and trim that down so that it's, you know, as per the belly band piece in the first place. I mean, I'm calling this a belly band. When I come to use it, I might use it as a pocket down the side of the page. I haven't quite decided yet, but for the moment, I'll just call it a belly band. And then we're going to have this piece here on there. So again, I'm just going to ink around this. Now, to be perfectly honest, this sheet music, you know, if you've bought the physical kits, and of course you don't have to have those kits to be doing, you know, crafting along with this. You can use your own papers or, you know, anything that you like. We're just doing basic kind of methods here. But these physical kits, the sheet music is quite coloured anyway, so I don't think you need to really ink it particularly because they are actually quite highly coloured. There we go. Okay. Off to that disastrous start, but hopefully we'll be cracking on now a little bit better. So we'll just pop that down. Now I can't talk now. I really quite like making little sort of foldy flip pieces when I have little belly bands and pockets and what have you. So I'm just going to take in some coffee dyed paper. So again, this is not included in the kit, obviously, but hopefully, you know, as part of making your journal, you might have coffee dyed some paper and got some paper with you. Obviously, you know, you needed some to be binding your journal in the first place, so hopefully you might have some left over. And then what you can do is just like fold it round, and then completely up to you how you fold it. But if we just do it kind of like that, and then we can fold it around here like that. Now what I might do is actually pop it on this side, because then that also helps to reinforce that side as well, if that makes sense. And I mean, you can fold in whatever way you like. Obviously, there's tons of different ways that you can fold your paper. You can have it folding concertina fold. You could have it folding kind of in, you know, in on itself. Play around and see what suits you. And just because it suits you this once or this journal, or doesn't mean that you're always going to stick with that. You know, I just fold however takes my fancy at the time. But I do really like having the little fold out pieces. I think they just add sort of so much interest and such a lot of fun to a journal. So, you know, again, you don't have to do that. That's just something that I find quite fun to do. Now, I'm just going to take another green flower from the kit itself. I just cut around that. Oops. Oh, come on. Making a hideous job of cutting this today. Oh, come on. And I just wondered whether we could have the flower as the, like the closure to hold that shut. So just ink that flower up. Just like that. And you can pop that on there like that. Might prefer it here. Just having a look to see how it looks when it's opened. So we pop that on there. So again, I like to pop it where it's going to be and then glue it from there. I find the easiest way, you know, is the easiest way to do that. So I have got a lot of glue on there because obviously my glue is now seeping everywhere. There we go. Okay. So hopefully that's good enough now. Probably shouldn't have my piece tucked in there whilst the glue's drying, because lately I keep on gluing things down, but you know, again, that's kind of up to you really whether you want to have it in there or not. Now I'm just going to pull in some of my little words. So we've got here, let's have the word harmony. So I might just tear around that. Like that. Again, we can just ink that piece up a bit around the edges. So I hope everyone's having a nice day. Hope that you're, you know, doing some crafting. Thank you so much, you know, if you've bought the kit and if you're, you know, you're playing along and crafting along. I mean, obviously I am filming this series ahead of listing the kits, so, you know, I don't know how they've gone down this time. But I mean, hopefully they, you know, have gone down well and people are enjoying them. Loving using these colours personally. You know, I love green. And this is just the most lovely shade of green. Well, to be fair, I do like all shades of green, really, but I do especially love this. I don't really know whether this would be like, I guess, a mixture of like olive greens and like sage type green, and I don't know really what other greens you'd call it really, but definitely, you know, I love these kinds of colours. So having fun making them. And weirdly, I don't know whether I'd said this before, the whole kit really came from the vintage wallpaper, you know, the inspiration for the kit, because I happened to find, right, all I'm going to do is cut down another slim strip of the neck curtain. So I've just got some here ready to use. Well, look at how thin I've cut that piece. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, the whole inspiration really originally came from finding that vintage wallpaper, because I found it in a little second-hand shop and you know, in a charity shop, and as soon as I saw it I thought, oh, I wonder if that would be good for doing my next, you know, beginner's kit. So that's where the whole kit kind of evolved from, really. Now, just wondering how to have this. I had thought that I was going to have some there on the edge, but actually kind of wondering whether I might prefer to just top and tail the belly band itself. Yeah, so I'm just going to kind of literally, you know, top and tail it. So just pop some glue down here. Yeah, so that's where the whole inspiration for the kit came from, was finding that wallpaper, because I just thought, oh, you know, what a great base for a journal, or not a base as such. I don't mean a base as a journal, but you know, kind of what a great starting point for inspiration. And yeah, that's where everything else kind of grew from there, really. So it was just one of those lucky finds. It was kind of meant to be. And actually they had 2 rolls, and I thought, oh, I wonder if I need 2. I thought, well, you probably get quite a bit, you know, on the roll. Oh, still got a lot left. So it was lucky that I only did buy 1, because my journals would have all had that green theme going through them for a long time to come otherwise. So yeah, lucky I just stopped at the 1. Okay, I'm just going to ink up a little bit around the edges and the fold, and then that's done. Did we want bling on there? Actually, I just suddenly realised that I'd left off the bling. Can't have that. Top or bottom? Oh, I quite like it at the top. So we just pop that down. Okay. Okay, so really pretty. Let me again just check that I'm filming still and I'm in frame. Oops, I can't see what time we're up to, but anyway, so that's that piece. So I'm going to pop that on the floor with the other pieces that I've made so far. We'll pull in the Patricia style book page pocket. Just trim that off. So again, what we could do is, you know, I mean, these are literally the offcuts that we have used when we covered the inside of the front and back covers, but it's really great to, you know, to use them up, isn't it? And it obviously keeps the theme running through the journal, which is, you know, really nice. So I'm just having a look to see what we might want to do on here. Now, do we like it like that? And then we could have a butterfly somewhere. And then what do we want to have on the top? Would we want then a bit more of the wallpaper? So let's just tear that down. Kind of thinking maybe it needs to be the other way round, so maybe just the smaller piece at the top. Don't know whether this is, no, I was wondering whether that was a neat edge or whether it was one of my shoddy edges, and it's, yeah, one of my shoddy edges. So actually, again, I'm just going to ink that up a little bit before we glue it down. I will obviously ink the pocket itself in a minute, but I'll just get a head start with this wallpaper. I'm just going to glue that down here. Okay. Just glue that down like that. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I hope that this is going down as well as the Flights of Fancy beginner's kit that I did. I mean, I really enjoyed doing that, and touch wood, it was really well received, and you know, yeah, touch wood, hopefully everyone really enjoyed it. Hopefully this one's going to go down as well. I mean, I really had a lot of fun with the Flights of Fancy and touch wood so far. I'm having a lot of fun with this one. It's a lovely kind of thing to do. I really enjoyed putting the kits together, collecting all the bits, you know, creating a digi, and yeah, kind of coordinating everything together. That I just loved doing that, you know, both times. And I'm just going to cut that down here. And really I'm liking working with the kit itself. So, you know, fingers crossed, I hope that you guys are really enjoying working with it, and what have you as well, if you know, if you've bought it. Actually, now I'm just thinking it needs to be just like that, to be honest, so I'm going to do that. Yeah, so hopefully I will kind of do more of these. I mean, obviously the only thing is they do take quite a long time, because obviously, you know, it's several weeks in the making by the time that I've kind of, I don't know, planned the theme, collected all the bits and pieces, made a digi, and then filmed a series, which obviously I want to film the series before I sell any of it, to make sure that I've, you know, got the proportions right, and you've got enough stuff to make a journal with. So, you know, they're quite time consuming, but I mean, that's fine, and I'm not complaining, you know, that's absolutely fine. But yeah, so they're just not going to be something that's like every couple of weeks, I guess is all I'm trying to say, is because they obviously do take several weeks to even put together. So, but hopefully, you know, providing that this one's been well received like the other one was, then there's no reason why I won't be doing more. I mean, for me, I quite like, you know, everything in one place and together, and, you know, you've got everything that you kind of need. That to me is quite a nice thing. Right, now I'm just going to have a look and see whether we want that on some of the white lace. So if I just pull that back in, it might be a little bit too heavy for that. Yeah, it's probably a little bit much. So I'm probably better off just having a strip of lace, I think, there. So let's just glue this down. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I've mentioned these before, but I can remember years ago finding, it was by K & Company, and they were called Scrap Pads to Go. Oh, they were so awesome. I mean, they were a 12 by 12, essentially, you know, scrap paper pad, but they had all these wonderful, amazing ephemera pieces to it as well. You know, all sorts of different things, tickets, labels, alphabets, I don't know, flowers, maybe not flowers actually, but anyway, loads and loads of different things that it had. And I think I bought several different designs. Well, I definitely did, but I think maybe I bought about 6 different designs or something. I don't know how many they actually did, but pretty much whenever I managed to come across one, which wasn't that often, I did try and buy it, you know, because I just absolutely loved the way everything coordinated so perfectly, and it just made making something so nice and easy, and to me looked so pleasing to the eye afterwards, because obviously it was all, you know, kind of thought out and put together to blend in together. So you know, hopefully these are, I'm not saying they're similar to those, of course, that's not what I mean, but hopefully the concept of this is kind of similar in that everything is coordinating perfectly, and you know, you've got all of the bits right there in front of you when you come to do your projects. So I'm just going to cut this journaling card out like that. mean, of course, you know, some people don't really like things being too matchy, and you know, that's fine. I get that, you know, not everyone likes that. I mean, for me, I do quite like that, and in fact, to the point where I struggle the opposite. I struggle to mix non-matching things together. You know, where some people just effortlessly manage to get everything to kind of blend together and just look perfect. But yeah, for me, that's a struggle. So for me, this is really quite a nice sort of way to do it. And hopefully, especially if you're just starting out and maybe you don't have loads of stash and loads of supplies, then hopefully this really is kind of helpful, because you've got, you know, everything that you need. I mean, other than the actual blank pages and, you know, the ink, you've hopefully got more than enough stuff to be decorating your pieces up with, and then, you know, able to look back and feel really pleased with your results. Right, let's just have this butterfly here, I think. I'm just going to pop that one on there. Don't know why I'm gluing this with the 3-in-1, but that was just the one that my hand landed on, so we'll just go with that. Okay, and of course we'll just have a little bit of bling, because why wouldn't we? Now, do we want the bling in the butterfly? Oops. Come on. Or on the lace. Oh gosh. You see, the problem is for me with bling, I love it everywhere I put it, and you know, I just have it everywhere. It probably looks better there, to be honest, but I can't help but quite like it on the butterfly as well. So oops. Let's just pop that down. Okay, so that's another piece made now. Check my camera. Okay, so really pretty, and again, you know, we just pop our journaling card in there like that. Now, the next piece, we've got little envelopes that obviously included here, you know, as part of the kit. Now, I included obviously some white ones and some buff coloured ones and things like that. Now, the white ones, they're quite flimsy envelopes, so it's really, you know, a case of deciding how best to use them. I'm having a look now, just deciding for myself. Do we want to... I mean, I was thinking we could do like a burst in bloom, but we obviously haven't really got quite, you know, quite enough flowers. So I'm wondering whether I might prefer to actually glue it down and then cut it open, either at the side or at the top. Let's do that. So we just glue the flaps down. And pop that down like that. Okay. And then just cover that envelope. So what I might do is just actually cover it in some book page. Or actually, just thinking we could cover it in some of that wallpaper. Ooh, yeah, that's nice, isn't it? Right. Let's ink up the envelope slightly first. Oops. Like that. Okay. Okie dokie. Now I'm just going to pull in my largish piece of wallpaper, obviously, that I've still got, you know, because I've used 2 sheets so far, and these are obviously my little remnants from the 2 sheets that I've used. I'll just put those back down out of the way. Not so sure now I've put it down actually, because I'm not sure it goes so well with the distressed envelope. Let me just have another look and see what else I've got here to my side. We've got the background pages. I mean, they're a little bit kind of on the thick side to use on a flimsy envelope, if that makes sense. We could do this. The only thing is, does that look then very bright because it's on a white background where, you know, it looks very kind of muted when it's against other things. So yeah, that might not be the best piece. Oh, let's just go with the wallpaper because, you know, should go with my first instincts instead. So let's just tear that round. Like that. Just tear it across here. And of course, if you are making your first journal, you know, you might now get hooked. So they're quite addictive. The whole process of making the journals, you know, you might just find that there'll be no going back then. Once you've crossed over to the dark side of journal making, there'll be just no return. I think they're just very freeing because anything goes. You know, you can kind of incorporate any style and it's just going to always look really good. So I think that's what's quite appealing about them. Right, just gluing my wallpaper down, oops, onto the envelope. Oh, finally managed to see that film, The Good Liar, with, what's her name? Oh, Helen Mirren, with her and Ian McKellen. Oh, sorry about that horrible wallpaper noise again. Let me just try and cover my card with my wipe. Yeah. So I don't know whether that's out everywhere. It might have been out over in the US first. I don't really know. Oh, it's really good. I'd really looked forward to it for a while before it came out. And I have to say, it went off in a completely different direction, you know, that was unexpected. But not a bad thing, if that makes sense. You know, when it first kind of started going off at this different direction, I thought, oh, you know, I hope they're not going to ruin it now. But actually, yeah, it tied it in really well and was really good. Really enjoyed it. So I won't tell you what happened because there was, you know, lots of twists and turns and it would spoil it very much. But yeah, it was very good. Very good, and oh, quite horrible in a couple of places, so, but really worth seeing. I mean, he's a brilliant actor, and obviously so is she, so, you know, it was going to be good. It wasn't really not going to be good, but yeah, it was really good. Now, I can't remember actually whether I inked this or not. I don't think I did. So let's just ink this up. Okay. Okay, straight away looks, you know, much more kind of tied in, doesn't it, once you've inked it up. Might have a bit of doily on here. We haven't popped any doily down for a couple of pieces, so let's get some doily out and incorporate that somewhere. So I might just have that kind of down the side. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because where this envelope is quite flimsy, what I'm thinking is if we pop it down kind of on the side there, it will actually go some way to like reinforcing. If we had it open as like a little side pocket, for example, it would help to reinforce that side. So I'm just going to glue this down like that. And again, I'm using that 3-in-1 because the tacky glue, you know, had marked the doily. And weirdly, since I've said that, I've noticed it's marked a couple of papers. Now, I don't know whether I've had just a couple of rubbish bottles or whether, you know, like when they change the recipe. I mean, that just irritates you so much, doesn't it? I mean, they do it with makeup and things like that all the time. And you might have worn the same thing for years and then suddenly they'll, you know, new formula, they call it, or shampoo, they do it with quite often. You know, new formula, new and improved is what they normally say. And invariably it's often, you know, new and rubbish. And here's my experience, new and rubbish. And it's so annoying because obviously, you know, you use these things because you like them. And then they change them and it, you know, just ruins them, never to be the same again. So I hope that that's not the case. It might just be that I'm noticing now where I hadn't before, you know, because since the going through the doily, maybe I'm kind of on the look for, oh, is that marking anything? I don't know. But definitely once or twice I've thought, oh, has that marked that? So, I hope that I'm wrong, because that would be pretty annoying. Okay, so I quite like it like that, actually. So I think I'll have the lace up there. Let me just pull in this again and see whether I can have any of this here. Well, it's not too bad down there, actually. Oh, it doesn't need it, does it? Right, let's stick with the plan. So just glue that lace trim. Okay. And I mean, the most annoying thing is when they do these things and change the formulas. You know, not only is it irritating because sometimes, you know, for instance, shampoo or makeup, you've still got to use up, you know, the bottle that you've bought expecting to be the same as normal and it's not. But you've also then got to hunt around and find something that you're going to like equally as much. And invariably, you know, it can take ages to actually find something that you do like as much. So I wish that these things wouldn't change. I mean, I realise that sometimes, sorry, I'm just rustling through trying to decide whether I need to layer that onto some book page. I realise that sometimes they've kind of got to change things, you know, but it is irritating, I have to be honest. So yeah, I'm just praying that that's not the case and that I'm just overlooking, you know, over examining what I'm gluing. Okay. Right, I just thought I would layer this up with the book page. Just trim it down. Yeah, I think makeup's the worst for doing that. They all the time are changing things. I mean, I assume that is literally because like the law changes and, you know, what they've been using is not acceptable anymore, or, you know, possibly they have problems then getting it from their suppliers, you know, something that's in the ingredients. But it's really annoying. So I wish they wouldn't be doing that all the time. And then, gosh, they sometimes just then discontinue something, don't they, that you've used for years. And it's, just beyond irritating. So we can have that like that. Now, might have a little butterfly on there too. So just to finish that off. I'm just wondering whether we want it. Originally I thought definitely in the middle, and now I'm kind of thinking maybe further down. No, I think it is better in the middle. Now I might glue that as a pocket. I probably will forget that it's a pocket when I come to actually put it into the journal, but then you have at least got it as an option, as a pocket if you wanted it. You know, whereas if you don't do that in the first place, you haven't even got it as an option, have you? So there we go. Okay, and we'll just pop the butterfly on, then we're done. Put that down there. I'm just going to trim off a bit of bling here. Now, shall we go with the bling on the butterfly this time? Yes, let's do that. I'm not even going to put it on the lace, because if I put it on the lace, I'm going to want to put it on the lace. So I'm not even going to do that. I'm just going to go for it and pop it onto the butterfly. There we go. Put it there. Okay. Lovely. And then what I will do is I'm just going to cut down this side. Probably best do it from the back. Like that. Which then opens that side up as a pocket. Like that. Okay. So that's another piece that we've made. Pop that to one side. Let me look at the time again. 42, I think it says. Because the time is written in white and it's on a white background, you know, this is a white background, it makes it hard to see. So that's why it's tricky for me to see, you know. It's nothing to do with the fact that I'm just now just can't see it. Let's just blame it on the background that it's on. Right, just rummaging through again, seeing what else we have here. Okay. So we've got another envelope that we could do. We've also got this little glassine sort of bag, and we've also got this little paper type bag. So we could use those. And obviously we've still got the background pages that we haven't used. So let's just pull all of this in and see. Oh, we've got this one because we've used some of this already. So perhaps we should do something with this, because then we're using up like a whole piece. And then that's gone out of the way. So what did we make so far? I can't actually remember now what we've made and what we haven't. Did we make a matchbook? I can't remember. Let me just have a look at what we have made, because it's hard to remember once they're out of sight. Oh yeah, we did. We made a side opening matchbox book. So right, I had this funny feeling as I went to bend it. I just thought, oh, we might have made one of those already. So we don't want to kind of have two of the same thing, really. So what should we do for this one? Should we just have a little kind of folding, kind of flip out? Decisions. Well, what we could do actually is we could just have this as like a another long sort of pocket on the page. What do you guys think? I'm just trying to work out really what size and shape this is like lending itself to the best, really. I mean, if we had it like that, it's not that big then. Whereas if we have it kind of like this, it's, you know, going to make a bit more of an impact on the page. So let's do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reinforce this, only because, you know, to me, this isn't like really heavy duty. This is like 160 GSM, so it's not that thick. So I'm going to glue it onto some book page. Now, I'm not gluing it on the book page that came with the kit, you know, purely because obviously I'm trying to make things, you know, go as far as they can. So that's just, yeah, that's just kind of me and what I'm doing. Up to you, obviously, how you use yours, but I just wanted to kind of point out that I'm just going to actually glue it onto, I mean, actually probably just some scrap paper. So I've just got here just some scrap paper from something else. I'll just, I think, glue it onto there and then cut it down from there. So I'm not even going to do it on book page, but this is just some scrapbook, or not scrapbook paper, sorry, scrap paper, you know, where I've printed out my printables and then the inks run out midway and things like that. So it's just using that type of thing up, really. So there we go. And as I say, you know, you don't have to do that, but I do quite like really quite, you know, thick and robust pieces, and then you don't have to worry that they're not going to hold. Okay, so spread that glue. Oops. And then I'm just going to trim that down. Again, I'm just going to take that in like a millimetre or so, you know, so that anywhere that the glue's not quite at the edge, it will hopefully then catch the edge. Like that. I won't bother cutting the top because actually it wasn't quite to the top. And then just cut it in slightly here. Like that. Okay, so that's the basis of our next piece. Now I'm just going to pull the journal in for a moment because that's quite wide, so I just want to see how that's going to sort of appear on the page, or whether it's too big. Now I quite like that personally. I think that's kind of quite nice, and it's got quite a big impact on the page, but you know, I do realise that that's quite a large sort of pocket type piece, really. I mean, it's bigger than I would normally use, but you know, I do quite like it. I might just trim it down slightly more, like that, just because otherwise that probably is the biggest size I've ever used. There we go. And again, you know, if you've kind of missed any bits now with the glue, you can just run your glue just in there, just like that. Okay. Oops. Okie dokie. Just check that I've got the corners. Yeah. Okay. So we'll just decorate up our piece here. And again, you know, I'm just trying to kind of use up everything, every little kind of piece that we've got, so I'm not having leftovers basically. So I'll just tear this one down. Like that. Oops, it's a bit sudden. where it goes off to the side there, so just make it a bit more gradual. Oh, I didn't make a very good job of that, but never mind. And then I'll just have a look through all the little bits and bobs again, see what we might like to put there. Or we might like to have one of our pieces here. So I might have the lady. So I might just have her maybe on some book page. But actually, what if we had the book page kind of running down there? It's nice, isn't it? Yeah, I quite like that. So I'm just going to make it slightly smaller so that it's not the entire green covered up. Oops. Actually, let's have it that side, I think. And then I think we'll put some doily there as well. And we'll just have that bit of wallpaper. Right, let's just glue the doily and the book page down first, because you know, that's a good start, good place to start. So, and again, I mean, I've talked about this before, but I do find it quite helpful to like commit to a plan, because it just gives me a starting point then for the rest of my pieces. And even if, you know, I then later kind of think, oh, I wish I hadn't put that there, weirdly, I'd still rather have that scenario than the indecision of, you know, shall I do this or shall I do that? For me, it just makes it so much easier. So again, you know, that's just for me. I don't know whether that's a sort of tip generally for people or not really, but that's just something I've found does work for me. So I'm just going to cut that round here, like that. Okay. And then the wallpaper piece that I was planning on having, I'm not so sure if it looks that great. Look. And then I've got this clock, which we could have kind of somewhere. It's quite nice like that. And I'm just feeling the need for some sort of label down here. So again, let me just have a look and pull in those label pieces. That's too big. Right, let's have one of these small ones. Okie dokie. Now, quite often I quite like just half a label. I know that sounds strange, but for me that's quite nice, just having half a label. So I'm going to commit to the clock and pop that down. And again, you know, that's then a really good starting point for the rest of my piece. Like that. Actually, I've just got that little strip that was off of, I don't know, that's something else that we'd cut away the other day. It's running the wrong way, which is annoying. Could have that across the top. No, I'm not going to. And we're going to pop her down kind of here. And then have I got some more? Yeah. I'm just going to have that white lace running down the side. Oh, I don't think I do want the label there, to be honest, because I think that just it looks a little bit like I filled up every single spot, if that makes sense. You know, which, yeah, just looked a little bit strange. So I just glue her down, and then I'm going to ink the whole lot. We might pop a butterfly or some flowers or something on there. So I've got these yellow flowers. They look quite pretty. So I'll just ink this piece up. Just glue this doily down. Just glue it down here as well. Okay. Okay, so oops, let me put the lid on my glue. Right, we'll just ink all of this around. Ink the lady. I think I said I had terrible problems cutting those ladies with the Scan and Cut because I mean, I'm still very much learning with it. As I said, I've only used it literally a couple of times, you know, the Flights of Fancy and then this kit, really. I mean, it's probably me, but I do notice, you know, it only really cuts out very well when they're very contrasting colours, i.e., you know, it can obviously see really easily what needs cutting and what doesn't. So for these ladies, obviously, because they're flesh coloured against the card, you know, they weren't obviously showing up that brilliantly to the Scan and Cut, you know, machine. And, oh, I had to cut so many that ended up having arms cut off and half their faces cut off and things like that. So it was quite aggravating in the end, I have to say. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know whether that's me or whether that's all Scan and Cuts, but if you're new to one and you're just, you know, getting used to it, it might be worth experimenting with some darker, you know, darker pieces with a sort of more of a contrast, because that's definitely how I found it worked best. Right, I've got another piece of the wallpaper here, so let's just see if I can get one to go down the top. It might not look any good, but I just want to try it. Oh, I don't think it does, because I obviously should have probably had it behind the clock. Oh, I might just not bother with the wallpaper, to be honest. Just pop that lace there. Right, I'm just going to go for the lace because I could be here all day playing around with that wallpaper, on, off, on, off. So we just pop the lace down. And obviously, you know, don't forget, you can always play with things once you've actually put them into the journal. You can always add more things and, you know, change them about then. Because sometimes they might need something. Sometimes they, you know, you might kind of think, oh, actually, now it's on the page, it's kind of got too much on there. So I might just have a flower on here. That just balances that out really nicely. So do we want it there or here? I like it there, weirdly enough, but I think I'll have it there because it's perhaps a bit strange over the other side. Okay, and again we could just make a little flip piece for this. So I'm just going to pull back in my, you know, remainder of my coffee dyed paper. And then what I'll do, if I just cut this down, so we can save this for another piece. And I just thought we could just have it, you know, just a single-sided flip, if that makes sense. So instead of it having any sort of fold or anything like that, it will just literally have a single flap there. So I'm just going to cut this down here. Might just round the corner. Like that. And then we just glue that on to the side. Oops. Like that. Okay. Like that. So really nice. And just ink this, you know, on just that little fold. Like that. Just add a little bit of bling, because again, just why wouldn't we have a bit of bling somewhere? We could have that up there, I think. Oops. Okay. Oops, just pop that down. Okay, gorgeous. And then do we want to have a flower or anything on here? I think we will, because the flower then just, you know, just ties it in. Sorry, just threads of glue literally sticking it onto me. The flower just then ties it in really well with the, you know, this base. So there we go. Just spread that glue. Okay, right, let me check the time and what have you. Oh my gosh, we're now on 1 hour and 2 minutes. Sorry about that, guys. Right, so we've made a few more pieces, and you know, we're yeah, beginning to see our journal pieces taking shape now. So I hope that you're having fun. Hope that you've managed to make a few pieces as well, if you bought either the physical kit or the digi kit, or just using your own papers. And hopefully you'll join me for the next episode as well. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you guys again soon. Thanks then. Bye.